on Earth, bacteria play such a foundational role for life on Earth, for the development of life, and for the maintenance of life. The carbon cycle, the nitrogen cycle. Without bacteria, we wouldn't have carbon. We wouldn't have nitrogen. No organic life would get off the ground. Bacteria play a significant role in rain. Without bacteria, we wouldn't have water. We wouldn't have rain. 50% of the oxygen in our air is due to bacteria. The bacteria on Earth in mass is greater than all the fish in the sea and the animals on Earth. Their genetics is so much beyond that. It's incomprehensible. In the human being, we are at least 50% bacteria. At least. Some people say we are 90% bacteria. It doesn't matter what these numbers are. They're incomprehensible. But beyond that, their genetics outnumber our genetics 150 to 1. Most of our genes come from our bacteria, from the bacteria. Most of the genes on Earth is bacteria. In other words, not only do they outnumber us and outnumber in mass all the animals and fish, but when you're talking about the genes, it's even beyond that. So, and then if you look on the ocean floor, the bacteria is even greater than all the bacteria in the fish, and you know, within the fish and in the ocean in general. And then in the molten rock on Earth that no one ever would have believed any life could exist. Lo and behold, our good friends bacteria are there as well. So on Earth, what a role. And now that we understand this, it completely debunks the Darwinian evolutionary theory. It's going to take time and for people to digest this, but the idea is already there. That being said, doesn't it make sense, since we are part of nature, that bacteria within us are playing a profound role in our health? Well, it's obvious. The answer is yes. If we would be able to see this, that would be our primary treatment. Who would think of all these other treatments first? Right. So that's the background. Within us, it's well established that this unseen organ, the bacteria within us, is the control center of our health. It is really the software that unites and integrates the systems in the body. It's the software that tells genes to be turned on or turned off or turned on in specific sequences. It's the software that trains, educates, and maintains the immune system. It's the microbiome, and its software plays the most profound role in gut health, in maintaining, in the development and the maintaining of the gut wall. Without the microbiome, there will be profound degradation of the gut wall. Without the microbiome, plays a significant role in brain development, in neurological development. In fact, they run parallel. As the microbiome develops, so does the brain develop. There are more messages coming from the microbiome to the brain than there are messages coming from the brain to the microbiome. The conversation between these two systems begins from the microbiome. They initiate the conversation, orchestrating how the brain functions. It's well established that the microbiome and the brain communicate with each other in a wide variety of ways. There are all different types of pathways, highways, and webs of roads and highways and messenger molecules that connect these systems. And there's a connection between the microbiome and the immune system. And then the immune system then speaks to the brain. The microbiome directly speaks to the brain via the vagus nerve, that the microbiome, through its messenger molecules that it produces, and many of those messenger molecules are the same neurotransmitters that the brain cells themselves make. This is mind-boggling.
Mm-hmm.
And through that, they can directly communicate to the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve then goes to the brain, speaks to the brain. In other words, they know the language of the nervous system. It's the same language. We now are privy to hear, to eavesdrop on these conversations between these two systems. We now can hear the conversations that we were never able to hear. Additionally, the microbiome produces a wide variety of messenger molecules, like short-chain fatty acids,
Mm-hmm.
from the breakdown of fiber and other foods that we eat. And these messenger molecules also speak to various systems in the body, the brain, the immune system, et cetera, et cetera. And then there are certain cells in the gut wall that that doesn't matter what the name is. And then they speak to these cells, and then these cells speak to the nervous system. So you see there are multiple pathways that they communicate with each other. Now, sometimes these messengers are inflammatory. Let's get into inflammatory state. These messages can also be about development of neurons, development of synapses and interconnections, orchestrating how the brain develops, how the different parts of the brain communicate with each other and develop together. And it goes on and on.
Mm-hmm.
The microbiome has such far reach. When it does something, when it decides to, and it does, quote unquote, decide, bacteria, as they group together, needs to be understood as an organism, as a live organism, because it communicates with its own cells, and I'm talking about on Earth and within us. They communicate with each other. They have language, and they make decisions, and they have a concerted effort. This is the definition of a conscious organism.
Right.
And so this is just profound. And when they can turn genes on and off, as I said, and there's multiple effects that they affect concomitantly. So now that we know that, it's a very simple step to say, wow, this is the software, the controller, the conductor of our overall health. Now, it's well established that a number of health issues are associated with microbiome deficiencies, lack of integration, hits from environmental toxicity, from overuse of antibiotics, from proton pump inhibitors. This is what we're dealing with, and now we can understand that why it plays such a significant role. And by the way, it's not just associated, they're causally connected. So we're talking about how the microbiome plays a big role in the prevention of a wide number of diseases, in maintaining the health, but also when it becomes weakened, how that could set the stage for the development of a number of diseases, whether you're talking about developmental disorders, whether it's autism or PDD or speech disorders or sensory disorders. It doesn't matter. These are just names.
Right.
They overlap, and whether it's also neurological issues in general, all kinds of neurological issues, whether it's neurodegenerative diseases or poor development. It plays a significant role in all types of inflammatory diseases, autoimmune diseases, gastrointestinal diseases. But here's the good news. When you improve the the gut and the microbiome, now you're restoring its great capacity to heal us of so many disorders. And that's really, in my opinion, and that the research supports this, of the foundational component for healing.
Right. That's very well said.